Welcome back to the committee, of which you have a long history with, so we appreciate you being with us again. If we're going to address the enormous scale of the global challenges we face in the 21st century, we need a well-resourced State Department with the most appropriate personnel and tools to promote American foreign policy. From the horrific Russian invasion of Ukraine to increasing violence in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo and a tenuous peace agreement in Ethiopia, to multiple failed states and active civil wars in the Middle East and North Africa, to the migration crisis caused by dictatorships, waves of criminal violence in Mexico and Central America, and the tragedy in Haiti, to food insecurity, severe natural disasters, and extreme heat exacerbated by the climate crisis, as well as the continuing issues related to the pandemic. So we want to hear from you, Mr. Secretary, on how you plan to ensure that the Department is resourced and staffed to project American foreign policy, including seriously countering the growing threat from China, for which I think you'll feel today, and I'm sure in your other engagements, a strong bipartisan, I think bicameral view, single biggest geostrategic challenge the United States faces. China has made major investments in diplomacy, and its diplomats are outrunning ours, not because they're better, but because there are more of them in more places in the world, with more embassies and a seemingly limitless checkbook. We cannot be on the sidelines and mired down in bureaucratic processes. We need ambitious and consistent resourcing. As you know, Senator Rich and I are working to put together a bill to put us on a stronger path to compete with China globally. This will include resources and staffing, strengthen economic tools, expanding our engagement with Latin America, the Middle East, and Africa, where there is currently a 40% vacancy rate at key American posts. Bolstering our diplomatic and economic tools to compete with China is the key to avoiding a military confrontation, while also ensuring we are ready to prevail in a conflict if it be necessary. As we've seen with Russia and Ukraine, one dictator's warped vision of the world is all it takes to unleash a brutal modern war. Our unity of purpose with our democratic allies and partners against Putin's illegal war is critical and goes far beyond Ukraine's borders. When we lead with diplomatic, military, and economic support, others follow. Our continuing support for Ukraine is not just about defeating Russia or to help Ukraine's freedom, which in and of itself are worthy goals. It's important that we send a message to others who would upend the rules-based international order. You cannot, by force, take another country's territory. The U.S. needs to use all our tools more effectively to do that, which brings me to a third priority area we'd like to see the Department address, which is security assistance. Unfortunately, for years, the Pentagon has encroached upon the State Department's vital and statutory role in security assistance, which is a critical tool of foreign policy, which we've seen most recently leveraged in Ukraine. This has increasingly untethered our assistance from human rights and American values, which I believe damage our national security interests. And it has led to policies that focus on short-term tactical military assistance, like we've seen with Azerbaijan blocking Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh. So while I'll continue working to solidify the State Department's role in the provision of all security assistance and sales and seek to claw that back where it rightfully belongs and statutorily belongs, the Department has also worked to make sure we can fulfill our security assistance commitments to our partners while setting the stage to compete with and deter bad actors like China, Russia, and Iran. We must reorient American foreign policy to be rooted in supporting democracy and human rights, which serve our long-term interests. Our foreign policy needs to help activists, environmental defenders, political prisoners on the front lines of confronting autocrats. We need to be able to isolate and weaken those who undertake coups in countries like Chad, Sudan, Mali, and Guinea. We have to do more to protect women, girls, and young boys who are the targets of sexual violence in conflict zones. And finally, I want to reiterate the importance of building on the last 2 years of bipartisan work to resuscitate the State Department authorization process after a long hiatus. I think this speaks volumes about how deeply the committee values the Department's work and personnel. It's critical that we modernize our diplomatic corps so it better represents our nation's diverse backgrounds, views, and talents, and it gives them the tools they need to be successful. So we've got our work cut out for us, Mr. Secretary, and we want to thank you for being a constructive partner in this effort. We appreciate the constant dialogue between our committee, yourself, and the department, and we look forward to discussing President Biden's budget requests in detail with you. With that, let me turn to the ranking member, Senator Rich.
Well, thank